Okay guys, today we're going to be making these ocean canvases. So this one is really fun, but it requires a lot of layering. So we're going to do like a background layer and blow dry it, and then we're going to do another layer and blow dry it, and then some more layers and blow drying it. So it requires a little bit of blow drying between each step. So you're going to have to be patient if you get done blow drying and you're ready for the next step, but other people are blow drying, or alternately, if you're asked to stop blow drying and watch the next step, because this is going to be one of those where we're going to have to take breaks and watch the next step, and you might not be ready for it, but then when it's time for it, you will be. So that way you can watch it and then come back to your painting and do what you need to do, okay? So this is my little mini canvas that I made, and we're trying to capture like the magic of summer. Like, you know, when you go to the beach and it's shimmery and the sun is shining, and that feeling that you get. So this piece really has some mood to it, or some feeling and some emotion. And we're gonna create that with the layering and the different colors. It's gonna make it really colorful and fun, okay? So what we're gonna start with is you're gonna get a plate with like some light blues, some dark blues, maybe even some teal, some white, and then some sand colors. And you're gonna get a canvas that looks like this, okay? It's really simple. It's a horizon line, the ocean, and then the sand, okay? So we're gonna do a light blue for our sky. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my paintbrush and I'm gonna paint the whole thing light blue. Okay, so now that it's light blue, I'm also gonna paint the edges light blue. Don't forget the edges. Okay, so now that the whole thing is light blue and the edges, if you forgot to the edges, you see how it wraps the canvas? So here's gonna be where the ocean is, and here's where the sand's gonna be, okay? Now we're gonna do at the bottom a little bit of white, and at the top we're gonna take this darker blue and add it. So I'm gonna take some white and just add it down here. I'm just blending it while it's still wet. It's gonna be subtle. It's not gonna be like make a super big difference, since this blue is already so white, but it gives it some subtle value differences and makes it have more depth. And then I'm gonna take some of this light blue. Notice I haven't even rinsed my paintbrush. I haven't rinsed my paintbrush one time. These are all blues, so we don't have to worry about rinsing our paintbrushes, okay? Also notice I'm going back and forth the whole time. I'm not going up and down and sideways and triangular and circular and whatever else, okay? And where that darker blue is, I'm gonna blend it in up here up top so that it matches at the top, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Now I'm gonna go over it one more time from top to bottom so it all blends and looks really pretty. And that's gonna be our sky, okay? All right, so now we're gonna paint the whole entire ocean this medium blue color right here. So this was the blue that we used for our dark here. We're gonna use it in our ocean, okay? So you go paint your whole ocean. It's gonna be this whole section right here. You're gonna paint this whole section that blue. And I still haven't rinsed my brush. So you don't need water on your brush, okay? So do this whole section, one solid color, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so my whole ocean is painted, including my sides. Look at that nice wrap. Okay, so now we're gonna come back with some of the darker blue, maybe some lighter blue, some teal. We're just gonna add some more depth to it like we did to the sky, but it's not gonna be exactly like the sky. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna add some depth right here along the horizon line. And I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit. You're not gonna see a lot of this because remember, we're gonna put all of these dashes and lines and stuff on top of it. But going ahead and doing it gives it a depth that is subtle, but makes it look so much more interesting in the end, okay? So every step should look good along the way is kind of how I think about it. So if we were gonna do it and leave it just like this, then having a little bit of these different values looks good, okay? So I'm just coming through and blending some of these in big, wide brush strokes, okay? I'm also gonna come through and I'm gonna do some dark right here along the edge. I'm not outlining the whole entire edge of the ocean. I'm just gonna do like little sections. You see how I go over it a couple times? Okay. And then if you want to, you could use the light blue. I'm gonna use the teal. And I'm just gonna blend some of that in out there too. Just in big, wide, we're doing big, wide brush strokes right now. We're gonna come back and do the little dashes later and they're gonna look so cool. But right now, just big, wide brush strokes. Okay, now that you're done with that, you do need to rinse your paintbrush. And I'm actually gonna switch to a medium-sized paintbrush for this. You'll have a medium paintbrush. So I'm gonna use a medium paintbrush for this part, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swirl these two colors. You've got kind of like a khaki and a cream. And you're gonna swirl them together. And just like at the top, we're gonna paint the sand a solid color. And when you do your outline around where you just painted, that paint is still gonna be wet. So you wanna carefully do it. But if you accidentally get some blue into there, I did on mine, on this one, I got some blue into there and I just blended it out back and forth, kind of like this, down into the sand, and it looked fine, okay? So you're gonna kind of slowly outline this. And look there, it mixed, that's okay. We're going over this with a lot of other colors and a lot of other things, so it'll be okay. Okay, so I'm gonna outline it, and then I'm gonna fill it all in. And then you're gonna blow dry it, and don't forget your edges, and then you're gonna blow dry it all, okay? So once you're done filling in your sand, blow dry it and wait, and I'll give you the next directions. They're already gonna look so good already. Don't they look beautiful already? All right, y'all are doing great. Finish your sand, blow dry it, and then wait, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, you guys, so mine is painted and blow dried, and yours should be too, or you might need to wait to blow dry yours after these directions. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to do the sun next. All right, so we're gonna use yellow for the sun. We're gonna get a second plate with some colors that you need. I gave some yellow, some orange, and a couple pinks on this one. Okay, so we're all gonna use yellow for a sun. And you're gonna use a small paintbrush, and you can have one of us draw the sun for you with a pencil. I'll go right on top of your paint. Okay, so there's my sun. And then we're gonna do the rays shining. And what you're gonna start with are just some lines, like a normal sun. Okay, and you can decide if you want these lines to touch the sun or not. I'm going with not touching on this one. Okay, after I get my lines in, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna make them kind of pop out like this. So it looks like they're shining instead of just, you know, how light, the dispersal of light, like a flashlight, like where it comes from, it kind of goes outwards, right? So that's kind of what we're doing. We're making it go outwards. And my paintbrush is a little crusty, but I think that's kind of looking good. And look, that one touched, that's okay. I was trying to make them not touch, but if you have a couple that touch and a couple don't, that would be okay. So I'm just using my paintbrush to make these like sun rays coming out. Okay. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a pink. I like this kind of peachy pink. And I'm gonna do just a little shadow while it's wet over here on the side. Just a tiny bit, like just the tiniest nibble of pink. Like if you were taking a bite of it, it would be just a little mouse-sized nibble, because you don't want too much of it in there. And then I'm gonna come and take some more and do some in some of these rays. The pink gives it a little bit of depth. Red would be too dark, right? And then orange would be okay. If you would rather use orange, that might be okay. All right, so you're gonna paint your sun, and you're gonna take these tiny nibbles of pink and add that to it, okay? And then once you're done with that, you don't have to blow dry yet. You just wait and we'll watch the next step, and then you'll be ready for that, okay? All right, so here's the next step. The next step is we're gonna do a layer of dashes. You see all these little dashes back here? But we're gonna start with blues, and then we're gonna do our colors on top of that. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse my brush that I have, and I'm gonna dry it off. I don't have a paper towel, but you will, so thankfully I have an old shirt on. Or you could use your apron. You guys will be wearing aprons, okay? Don't do yours on your shirt. Okay, so I'm gonna use these blues. I'm gonna use this blue and this blue, and I'm gonna do these dashes. We're not doing white yet, okay? I'm gonna start, and you're just gonna do short little dashes like this. I'm gonna do kind of longer ones with this darker blue. And then I might come back in and do some shorter ones on top of that with my other colors. And see how they're just these little dashes, nothing complicated. They're all going straight back and forth until you kind of get up here. And then I'm gonna make them kind of different, like smaller. Like where the water's choppier, and then where it's out smoother, it's gonna be longer, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing. I didn't rinse my brush, just kind of wiped it off. I'm gonna use this teal color for the next ones. And it's okay if they blend together and mix a little bit. It's okay if they overlap. It's okay if they don't overlap. This is our background layer, but you do want them to be really thin. So you don't want to try to get a big glop of paint and use that, because then it won't dry and you can't do your other colors on top of it. So then down here where the waves get a little bit choppy, I'm gonna do some little like dots going different directions. You gotta trust the process, okay? So I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna blow dry it again. So we're gonna blow dry our sun and especially our ocean. And if you wanted to use other blues, that's fine. If you have some other blues on here still and you wanted to use some other ones, you can certainly do that. Okay, I'm just gonna show you. That would look fine. But you kind of want them all to be spread out evenly so that you can blow dry them. Okay, all right, so I'm done with that for now. I'm gonna blow dry it and then I'll show you the next layer. We have two more layers. We have our pinks and yellows, and then we're gonna blow dry that, and then we have our white on top of that, okay? All right, so go blow dry these and then come back for more. Okay, mine is mostly dry. I can see a couple areas now that it's back that are shiny and wet, but I'll just try to avoid those, or if they mix, it's okay. So you're gonna have like a darker pink, a lighter pink, some orange, and some yellow. And I'm gonna start with, I'm not gonna use this really dark pink, I don't think. I wanna use this peachy pink. So I'm gonna start with that. In my original, I just did, for this layer, I just did like that dark pink. It almost looks kind of reddish, and yellow, okay? But you can do as many colors as you want, because when we come on top with the white will balance it all out. Kind of like when we outline with black. You know how sometimes when we outline with black, it just brings it all together? That's kind of what we're dealing with here, where when we do those last little white outlines, they just bring it all back together. It looks really good. Okay, and then you can rinse your brush or you can just go straight into the yellow. Look at that. So now you're gonna use these colors and you're gonna do your dashes in these colors. And with my yellow, I kind of focused on the center. Like, you know, the highlight or the reflection of the sun, maybe, on like and ocean. That's kind of what we're going with here. Maybe some outliers out here. Okay, so now I'm done with this layer. I've got my other colors on there. It's looking really good so far, right? Everything's matching, everything looks good. All we have left to do is blow dry it, and when we add the white, it makes a huge difference, okay? So I'm gonna blow dry it again. You do your colors and blow dry it, and then I'll show you the white, and then we'll be done. Okay, you guys, I'm so excited. This turned out, honestly, better than I even expected. So, what we're gonna do next is our white. Now, I have some clean white on my original plate. If your white is not clean or if it's kind of gross, we can bring you new white, okay? And what I'm gonna start with is, I'm gonna start with doing a few little dashes out here. Just like highlights in the water. You know how the ocean gets those little highlights. And again, just like the yellow, I'm gonna kind of focus on the middle here. And then when you get up to this little, where the ocean water is coming in, you just do kind of topsy-turvy dashes because the water gets all jumbled up top or close to the sand, doesn't it? Okay. Now, some of that, you're gonna do some squiggles in there, right? So some of that's gonna get blended in and covered up, and that's okay, okay? So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with our ocean water line, and I'm gonna start on the edge, and I'm gonna kind of outline it. And I love how with this paintbrush, look, you see how there's like, it's not a fully solid line in some places where I was like running out of paint and stuff. I actually really love that. So I'm gonna make sure that it looks like that in some places. If you can't quite get that, that's okay. If it's just a solid line, it'll still look really good. But I'm just showing you that it doesn't have to be like a totally solid line. And I'm gonna do the edges too. Okay. And then I'm gonna come down beneath it and do some little lines underneath it. These are a lot like those expression lines that I used in my other drawings this week. Okay, and then we're gonna do our lines in the ocean water. And those are just gonna look like waves. And I'm gonna start on, I like to start one on the side and then kind of one on the side, and then kind of meet in the middle. And then I'm gonna do one in between them like this. And then I like to do one up high on each side again, like that. But you don't have to do it that way, okay? And then if you want to, another thing that you can do is you can use the hard end of your paintbrush and you can do some little dots. I mean, obviously it's not snowing, right? I think what these do is they create that kind of more magical, like sea spray kind of feeling. You know how the ocean likes to like have that sea spray coming up. And I think that's what they create. They create like a feeling of, oh, this is magical. These little white dots are like the shimmer and the sea spray, and it gives you that feeling of being at the beach. And it can just be a magical experience. And if you've never been, that's okay, don't feel bad. I didn't go to the beach for the first time until I was 16. And then I didn't go again until I was like in my late 20s as an adult with my own family. So we weren't big beach people, but it still is very magical. And I'm sure you can imagine what it might be like and what it's going to be like when you get to visit the beach. Okay, so there is my painting, and your paintings are gonna look amazing. And here is my mini painting, and here is my big painting, and I'm so excited. Now we're gonna leave these to dry, and you could blow dry them if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can leave it in the back to dry, and your name will be on the back. We will have come around while you were working and put your name on the back. I'm really excited about these. I think these are gonna be like your masterpiece of the week.